Now let's talk about snakes. Let's talk about motherfucking snakes. My favorite snake is I don't know. Maybe the Anaconda. Y'all remember that Anaconda movie with Ice Cube? It's an older movie, bro. Y'all look, I'm gonna show y'all a clip. I'm gonna show y'all a movie. I'm gonna show y'all a clip from the movie after we do this. And I'll show y'all. It was like an old ass movie. I don't even think the fucking special effects on that movie hold up. Oh my god, they're so fast.
Snakes are one of the most feared classes in the game, with a number of powerful builds and a vast array of uniquely lethal abilities. However, some of these strategies have clearly been more successful than others.
Oh my god!
So in this video, which was sponsored by CuriosityStream, we'll be going over the snake tier list to see which builds rank highest. But before we get into looking at specific snake builds, let's do an overview of the basic attributes and special abilities the snake faction has access to, as well as a quick rundown of the history of the snake.
Hey Dice K
I feel like any
$5.
snake with a
Hey Dante, love you,
poisonous
man. One day
fangs or
you'll be a
whatever
rapper, and I can't wait until you react to me.
probably gonna be top.
Anyway, I wanted to say this is my first Twitch donation for my favorite streamer.
What is this?
This kind of
Yo, I appreciate you, man.
Abilities the snake faction has access to, as well as a quick rundown of the history of the snake faction.
Background.
So, snakes are one of the newer factions in the game, joining the game's roster during the latter part of the Mesozoic expansion.
That's crazy.
They began as a niche offshoot of the lizard faction that was specifically adapted to burrowing gameplay. And in order to best min-max for the most efficient
That's crazy how you could just evolve like that to just no legs. Like they had little tiny legs before.
burrowing, this player base eventually opted to completely drop the legs attribute. This ended up being a far more successful gambit than anyone could have anticipated, as it not only granted these lizards better burrowing ability, but also opened up a bunch of other strategies to them. While the snake build first hit the scene during a metagame dominated by dinosaurs, they didn't become a huge threat in the meta until after the
Humans can do that spit thing from under their tongue too. Yeah, I know. I sometimes do that when I'm yawning. Like sometimes I'll yawn, I'll be like, and then like, it'll just happen. Has that happened to anybody? Like from under the tongue, sometimes like some spit will fly out.
main dinosaur powerhouses
it's happened
were
to me.
banned
Okay,
in the
I thought I was about
KT
to say,
balance
bro.
patch. During this chaotic post-banwave
I remember I accidentally did that in class to somebody, and I got it on their arm, and they was like, yo, what the fuck? I was like, oh shit, my bad.
meta, snake players experimented with some crazy builds, including the giant Titanoboa build.
It was so
But
awkward,
while
bro.
Titanoboa's giant size granted it short-term success, I think the strategies that the snake player base went on to specialize in are even more effective.
Why am I jumping?
Fast forward to today's meta, and
Yo, and that's ridiculous how they're able to like gulp down things like this, and it just dissolves or digests or something like that. I will never understand how they dislodge their whole jaw.
and snakes are one of the most successful predator factions in the game, owing this success to a handful of powerful, unique abilities.
They so
The most
fast.
obvious of these is slithering, the snake's unique mobility option that it gained in exchange for losing
Snakes
its
are cool
legs.
though, bro.
At first glance, this might seem extremely
Legendary video.
limiting, as snakes cannot jump and move more slowly than they would if they could run. And while those are significant limitations,
What we watching? We're watching the snake tier list. Basically, we're learning about snakes, and he's putting it in a tier from weakest snakes, lower level snakes, to the top tier snakes. So right now, you gotta pick like just off rip your favorite snake. Is the anaconda a type of snake? Because I don't think that would be a type of snake. So if I can't choose that, I'll probably choose like a rattlesnake or something, or like a not a rattlesnake, but like a I don't know. Hold on, what are y'all putting? Cobra? What's the ones with the ears, bro? Well, like not the ears, but like they got that little thing, bro. And Jafar had it on his little cane. Cobra. I kind of like cobras just based on how they look, but I feel like they're probably lower tier.
the ability to slither does open up a lot of other options to snake mains. Rather than jumping over barriers, snakes can oftentimes find a way to slither through them. This gives snakes access to a lot of areas of the map that are normally much more difficult to access, and means things like dens, nests, and other player-constructed bases are often less effective at keeping snake players out, which makes them one of the best classes at spawn killing. Slithering also allows a comparatively large build to remain very close to the ground and benefit from the stealth bonus of even the shortest grass and foliage. Despite not having claws, snakes make for highly effective climbers, making it very difficult to ever truly get out of reach of a snake. Still, as a rushdown option,
I didn't even think of that. I never thought, yo, can snakes climb trees?
slithering tends to be too slow to reliably catch up to other players. So while snakes may not have the ability to chase you down, they've spec'd their movement kit to ensure that nowhere is ever truly safe from them, and if you let your guard down, they'll be poised to capitalize on that.
Holy shit.
A snake's basic strike is a little on the weak side for such a dangerous
Snakes are so
predator.
fucking cool,
Their
bro.
bites can't deal that much damage on their own and are easily blocked by armor. It's for this reason that snakes tend to spec into various venom effects to infuse their bites with. Snake venom can have a variety of status effects, which we'll get into more as we progress through the tier list, but in general, venom greatly increases the damage potential a snake can deal with its bite. Without this, many snakes would have no means of defense and would be completely helpless when caught out in the open. Instead, snakes are one of the most feared classes in the game. But which snakes should be feared the most? For that, let's get into the tier list.
Let's do it.
So, the lower tiers on this list contain members of the snake faction known as Colubrids. This is the largest group of snakes and contains almost every snake build in the game, except for the ones you're actually afraid of.
Carter snake.
Starting at the very bottom of this group, we have the Garter Snake, one of the weakest snake builds in the game. Data miners are actually unsure whether or not this build is venomous, but if it is, it's some of the weakest venom in the game.
Damn.
And with no other offensive abilities, the Garter Snake essentially only has favorable matchups against things far smaller than it, like
L
frogs
snake.
and mice. Because they're so vulnerable, Garter Snake players love to attack aquatic targets like tadpoles and small fish. But they have no actual abilities that synergize with this playstyle,
Damn, they be jumping the weak.
nor is it a particularly good swimmer, and therefore
Nigga can't even swim. Get this nigga out of here.
takes on considerable risk when they venture into the water.
Oh my god, nigga got killed by a fish, bro. Use a snake.
Garter snakes are also caught in an endless loop of wasting a ton of evolution points, evolving extreme toxin resistance to the poison of a specific newt build. This isn't very efficient, but I guess the Garter Snake needs to preserve its few favorable matchups.
That's sad.
Next
Racer.
in F tier we have the Racer Snake. This is a snake build that put an above average number of evolution points into mobility, making it one of the fastest snake builds in the game.
Okay.
That's not really saying a
Oh
lot
yeah,
given that
they're famous for not being able to catch a fucking lizard. The Geico or whatever the hell that thing was. They literally get clowned on.
snakes tend to have pretty poor movement speed. But
I ain't gonna lie, I'm pretty sure Snoop Dogg did a voiceover. I'm pretty sure Snoop Dogg did a voiceover to y'all niggas getting dusted.
credit where credit is due, this does give them a much better chance of dashing into cover when under attack. Unfortunately, as with a lot of mobility-centric builds, this alone isn't enough to make them competitively viable.
You getting
In
boxed by
fact,
a
even with
cat.
their above-average slithering speed, they're usually still too slow to chase down many of their preferred attack targets.
Look how deep they were deep as hell too. Couldn't catch them.
They're also worse climbers than most snakes, making them one of the few snakes that can be countered by simply climbing out of reach.
Damn, y'all got
in almost
embarrassed.
all cases, a snake's worst matchup is against birds.
They
and
got bodied
unfortunately
in
for the
4K.
racer snake, speed usually isn't much use against a surprise aerial attack. Their lack of practical applications for their signature abilities plants them firmly in F tier for me.
Think you're slithering to Vine
Next on the
Snake?
tier list, we have the Vine Snake.
Ooh.
Now, there are many highly effective
Stealth is broken.
arboreal snake builds, and all things considered, the Vine Snake isn't terrible. It's got great stealth and is an excellent climber. But I mean, just look at this thing. With the lowest HP and defensive stats of any snake, this
Yeah.
build folds to absolutely any attack. Vine Snakes entrust their survival to their above-average stealth stat, but if that fails and the Vine Snake is discovered, they resort to intimidation.
And that ain't that intimidating, dog. I ain't even gonna hold you, bruh. What happens if what happens if the weather changes, though?
Their intimidation tactic consists of sticking out their brightly colored tongue as a warning. Much like with the blue-tongued skink, I don't consider this to be a particularly effective defensive display.
You can barely see the tongue. They literally be like, Like, dude, you look adorable. I just want to pet you. Like, what the fuck?
Especially when this warning is backed by some of the weakest venom in the snake faction. Definitely not F tier due to its decent camouflage,
Yeah,
but
the
with
stealth
nothing
is
else
crazy.
going for it, it's stuck in D
You
tier.
can't put it in an F with the stuff like that. Tiger keelback.
Next in D tier, we have the Tiger Keelback. This snake
It
build
will
breaks the
keel.
mold when it comes to toxic strategies in snakes.
Okay,
as
look at
rather than dumping all of its evolution points into venom, The keelback also allocates some of its resources into becoming poisonous, meaning that they can inflict the toxic status effect both when dealing damage and when taking damage.
That's pretty good.
This extra defensive ability definitely raises the keelback's ranking compared to most colobrid snakes. However, overall, it's still not that great.
Oh.
Both their venom and their poison aren't all that potent, and it's possible that going all in on one of these strategies might have been the better play in the long run.
So it won't.
Still, the keelback strategy does
kill.
mitigate one of the colobrid faction's main weaknesses, though, which is that they have a hard time using their venom defensively. Many colubrids, including the vine snake and keelback, are venomous. This is useful because, I mean, how else would a snake barely thicker than a piece of spaghetti deal any damage, right? The problem is, colubrids lack the efficient venom delivery abilities found in the more dangerous snake builds.
Look at that viper.
Their fangs are located at the back of their mouths, and these fangs
Why
don't
no
actually
kill?
inject venom.
It won't kill.
The venom is just kind of part of their
won't
saliva,
kill.
so to deal any damage with it, they need to really chew on their target for a good chunk of time.
He's eating his ass, hoping that it works.
Can you react to Whoopi said that the Holocaust wasn't about race? The irony is that The View has been around for 25 years, and has only had 2 Jewish co-hosts and none.
I'm gonna be real with you, dog. I don't care, man. Like I like don't care about these things, man. Like it don't affect me. I didn't ask. It didn't pop up on my radar. I ain't seen it nowhere. Like you had to tell me about it in a donation, bro. You know the last time I heard of Whoopi Goldberg, bro, is when I watched Sister Act 2. After that, I never heard of her again. So I don't care what the fuck she's talking about, bro.
As you might expect, this makes
Why do niggas let celebrities get them so worked up? Why the fuck do you care about what Whoopi Goldberg said? It's Whoopi Goldberg, bruh. Like, who the fuck cares, man? It's different if Drake came out and said that shit. But it's fucking Whoopi Goldberg. Like, shout out to her. Respect to her, bruh. But, like, dude, it's Whoopi. Like, who gives a fuck what Whoopi Goldberg is thinking? It's like the Dave Chappelle. It's like the Dave Chappelle skit. Who the fuck care what Ja Rule saying, bruh? Who the fuck give a fuck what Ja Rule talking about? Nobody, bruh.
makes individual strikes from most venomous colubrids quite harmless, as they don't contain much venom per hit, and they also can't really use their fangs unless they
Yo, I love Dave Chappelle, bro.
get a really solid bite in. So the keelback's poison does
fuck
sort
give
of
a
cover
fuck
for this
about Ja
weakness,
Rule?
which is great, and for that it gets to the top of D tier. However, a defensive poison is by no means the only way to mitigate the drawbacks of having rear fangs, as we'll see as we move out of the low tier and into mid tier.
I'll say this though, but like if somebody says something that's offensive and like, but it's like you don't even know them, like why are you letting it bother you, bro? There's been so many people that have outright said things about Black Lives Matter, about black people, about how George Zimmerman type shit, and it's like niggas I've never known or like forgot about even existed, and I don't care, bro. I just don't care. Like, don't let things affect you that don't have to affect you.
At the bottom of C tier we have the Boomslang, the most venomous snake build from the Colibrid faction. This snake kind of just does everything the Vine Snake does, but better.
That thing
It's
kinda-
an excellent
that thing
climber
kinda
and has
thick.
great camouflage, but also packs a devastating bite with extremely overpowered venom for its tier in terms of potency. And while it does have rear fangs, they're significantly larger than most colubrids. But its best adaptation is that the Boomslang can open its mouth far wider
This
than
shit's
most
tiny.
snakes, allowing it to deliver a venom-infused bite in spite of the unfavorable location
I
of
guess
its
it-
fangs.
I guess it does have
This
the
allows
venom.
the Boomslang to go toe-to-toe with high-tier builds like the Chameleon, as well as let it
thing
use
is
its
tiny,
potent
though.
venom as a defensive threat rather than solely just a hunting tool. Now, obviously, this is still far from ideal. Its venom is quite slow acting, making it not that useful when under attack. In my opinion, the Boomslang is the perfect example of a snake that really just needs 1 or 2 more buffs to be a high tier build, but in its current state, it just doesn't quite get there.
King
At the top of C
Snake.
tier, we have our last member of the Colibrid faction,
Okay.
the King Snake. The King Snake is a large snake build with no venom-based abilities. Instead, this is the first Constrictor build on our list. Constriction is a type of grappling attack that, when properly executed, results in a guaranteed KO,
I always thought the construction shit was so cool, bro.
even on extremely large targets. Its main drawback is that this attack strategy is highly vulnerable to disruption. A Constrictor player has to be able to survive all counterattacks from its target
I ain't never seen a snake box another snake. Is that what he's trying to do?
while attempting to restrain it. So with that said, you'd think it'd be very difficult to use this technique against a venomous snake, right? Snakes are so
Okay,
flexible
I was
that
about to
it's
say, I thought he was gonna try to choke him out.
very difficult to grapple them without giving them an easy opportunity to bite back.
What?
That's where the king snake's second ability, venom resistance, comes in. The ability to ignore all damage from a snake's venom makes the king snake's matchup against other snakes horribly one-sided.
Cobra means snake eater?
Just for good measure, king snakes have high enough accuracy on their attacks that they tend to go for the head, which negates a snake's counterattack potential even further. This is about where the king snake's supremacy ends though, as the rest of its matchups are pretty standard for a snake, and with no venom of its own, it doesn't pose much of a threat to players it can't reliably immobilize
That boy
in its
getting
coil.
fucked up by a birdie, bro. Oh my gosh.
Luckily, there's a pretty simple change a constrictor build can make in order to increase the effectiveness of its constriction: size.
Oh shit!
Boas and pythons are the poster children for this type of strategy,
Yep.
being the only snake builds that can be properly classified as tanks. While technically these are two different factions, they are functionally extremely similar and both contain specific examples of highly effective tanky snakes. Although boas and pythons have no venom, their large teeth and incredibly high physical stats make them more than a match for just about any player that challenges them directly. With their thick scales and huge
To people who keep on donating stupid things. Dude, Dante does not care, bruh. People get so pressed that you say you don't care, like, bro, we don't care.
That's what I'm saying,
We
like-
not being mean, it's just we don't.
Yo, facts. It's like, it's not like I'm thinking
ISGA
Dante doesn't care about the Holocaust. Like,
I
no,
remember
dude.
seeing a video of someone
I'm learning about snakes, like-
and ever since I hate
I don't care about what Whoopi Goldberg just said. Like, I'm learning about snakes, man. Like, come on, bro. Fuck, he's starting, man. JoJo's about to start God of War, man, and I'm gonna miss it. Oh, yeah, man, I'm gonna be a little late, man.
What's going on, man?
Just I'm watching this snake video, and I gotta see it through, man.
Listen, look. You know what? Because I don't want you to miss God of War, I will watch. Don't get so happy.
What?
Because I don't want you to miss God of War. I will wait for you. I'll wait for you, and I will watch a video.
Thank you. Okay, good. I just need 20, like 10, 20, 15, about that, just about that time.
Okay, bro. You know what? I'm gonna talk to chat, and then we're gonna watch this. Wait. You watched the feminist video?
Oh God, yes, I did. I'm gonna let you know, man. You know, my YouTube comments wasn't really fucking with that shit. You know,
What?
they won't really fucking with what your boy had to say, man.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Hey, but guess what? It is what it
Yeah.
is. You know,
It is what it is.
got to see it through, my boy.
Hey, bro. I'll see you in 20 minutes, bro.
All right, bet.
Love you, bro.
Let's go. Okay, all right, chat. Let's go, cause I got it.
Although boas and pythons have no venom, their large
Holy-
teeth and incredibly high physical stats make them more than a match for
I
just
think
about
this video just made me really like snakes more than I used to like.
any player that challenges them directly. With their thick scales and huge size, it's very difficult to defeat one of these in a 1v1 quickly. Their ability to tank a lot of hits during a fight means that even extremely powerful builds like the Tiger are in for quite an uphill battle if they choose to stand and fight. Well-statted builds with high defense and
I'm actually about to like watch videos about these these dudes killing things.
DPS, like the Crocodilian factions, are
That was
easily
a
overcome
tiger.
with brute strength once a boa or python uses their piercing
Oh
fangs
my
and powerful
God!
quills to trap them in an infinite grab combo. Drawbacks to the constriction strategy are vulnerability to third-party attacks and the immense cost of failed kills.
Yoink.
While many constrictors have the size required to challenge other large builds, going after too powerful a target can expend a disproportionate amount of HP compared to other snakes. As large builds are often more conspicuous, the most successful constrictor
These things are kind of broken.
players will make good use of the camouflage ability.
I'm not gonna touch the spider tier list. I'm not. I've seen it multiple times and scrolled past it purposely. This is my pick. Wait, was this A tier?
Players will make good use of the camouflage ability.
Anaconda. This
Out
is
of
my
the boa
pick.
faction, the most powerful build is without a doubt the Anaconda. These are among the heaviest of any snake and by far the
Yeah.
tankiest,
Yeah.
with an HP stat that renders most physical attacks almost negligible. While
B
anacondas
tier?
are significantly
Okay,
less
that's not
viable
bad.
on land due to their greatly reduced speed on
Show me
terrestrial
something.
maps, their mobility, stealth, and camouflage bonuses in the aquatic meta make them nearly unbeatable in that biome. Anacondas are capable of serious speed when their buoyancy abilities can counteract the limitations of their enormous size, making nearly any unsuspecting player who enters the water an easy target.
Oh, little ducky.
Their eyes and noses are oriented towards the top of their faces, allowing them to expend minimal energy while camouflaged in aquatic vegetation, waiting for the perfect opportunity to carry out an ambush attack. Despite their formidable base stats and proficiency in highly specialized forms of gameplay, the fact that anacondas are only truly viable in aquatic environments limits their utility and places them squarely in B tier.
Damn, was
The
that
most
a...
competitive build in the Python faction is the Burmese Python. While many snake builds are competitively viable only on certain maps that suit their specialized abilities,
I thought that was a
Burmese pythons
dog.
fit
It's a
into
panther,
more of
right?
a jack-of-all-trades playstyle and
jaguar or
have
something?
sufficient mobility in aquatic, terrestrial, and arboreal biomes.
We did the cat
in spite
tier
of
list.
their large size. Burmese pythons are therefore excellent generalist builds, and as seen
shit.
with many other generalists, they have been causing serious disruption in servers that they weren't meant to be spawning in. Burmese pythons
Bro,
have
it's like watching snakes attack and fight like that. It feels like you watching like the UFC when they doing takedowns and getting them in a good grapple and shit.
totally destabilized the meta of the Florida Everglades, due mostly to the Python's extremely one-sided matchup
Oh, you're
against
dead.
non-social mammal builds.
You're dead. How do you
and
not see
lack
him?
of the type of builds that normally keep the Python player base in check. Now, thankfully, the current top tier of the Everglades is quite capable of defeating or repelling a Python in single combat. But because the alligator's dominance is restricted to the aquatic zones, Pythons essentially have complete control of the arboreal zone, which has led to a drastic reduction in players running mammal builds like the rabbit, raccoon, fox, and bobcat. While
They can
Burmese
eat
pythons come at the
bobcats?
top of B tier due to their versatility, their low speed stat and lack of venom makes higher tier snakes much more viable choices for most gameplay styles. While some snake builds in lower tiers can use the Venom skill, placement in A tier or higher rides almost exclusively on choosing to dump a majority of evolution points into maximizing Venom efficiency and delivery methods.
Venom.
Members of the Viper class dominate the A tier, among the most feared builds in the game.
I don't know. I'd be wondering what these rats be thinking. I know they see these things.
Vipers have a variety of special offensive and sensory skills that help compensate for their generally low defense stats. Their long, hollow fangs are placed at the front of their mouths, and can pierce most armor to deliver lethal doses of venom. But one drawback to the flesh-destroying hemotoxins used by most builds in this group is that they can take a while to immobilize players.
Oh shit. So
Most Viper builds also spec into the infrared heat sensing ability,
So you have to follow
making them
it.
extremely powerful nocturnal ambush attackers and compensating
Dante finna get a snake out this video. I'm not gonna lie, like, you know? But I know Daniel not fucking with no snakes. But yo, snakes seem kind of cool just to have one around your arm, just chilling.
for their lack of speed. Some members of the Viper faction tack on tail adaptations
is
too,
that?
for access to the intimidation and luring abilities.
What is on it?
But these perks are minor compared to the raw
is that?
offensive potential.
What the fuck was
Coming
that
in at the
moving?
bottom of A tier are Gaboon Vipers, combining the highest defense stat of any venomous build with near unbeatable stealth and an incredibly high strike speed.
You feel it moving though.
Despite their bulky appearance, Gaboon Vipers are almost invisible to spot during gameplay, and are notorious for destroying unsuspecting players due to the sheer volume of venom delivered during an attack,
Damn!
despite their relatively underpowered toxicity compared to other Vipers. With the longest fangs of any Viper, they can deal significant physical piercing damage, in addition to any toxic effects caused by the venom. They conserve energy by remaining motionless when not in combat, and are rather difficult to provoke into unnecessary confrontation.
Look at it. Look how it looks though. Even with the horns on his nose, it looks crazy. That looks
While
dope.
Gaboon Vipers are an excellent choice for ambush-based play in jungle maps, their lack of versatility and low aggression means they can be easily outmaneuvered by other builds.
It looked like it just finished eating something as big as its body is. Hold on, let me grab my camera. That thing was thick.
Cottonmouths rank slightly higher in A tier due to their rare ability to use the skill set of the Viper class effectively in the aquatic realm. As the only Viper build in the game with aquatic adaptations, their potent venom and fishhook-shaped fangs make them incredibly effective at farming out fish and frog players for easy XP. This build specs into the Caudal luring ability at lower levels, allowing them to quickly become competitive, and shed this ability at higher levels in favor of better camouflage. Cottonmouths are also relatively tanky and escape many combat situations by using intimidation tactics. Their dominance in aquatic maps makes them able to occasionally overcome more competitive generalist builds, but this is limited by biome and therefore not useful during the majority
He just walked up and ate him like it was nothing.
of gameplay.
Like it was like, yo, what's up? What's good with you, bro? Like, yo, what?
Rounding out
Rattlesnakes. I really love rattlesnakes. It's just cool how they do the tick, 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 tick.
tier is the rattlesnake. Best suited for desert and forest biomes, these snakes combine a variety of overpowered special abilities with well-allocated base stats. Rattlesnakes are highly capable builds for ambush-based stealth play due to their ability to create thermal maps of other players in low-visibility situations, which makes them one of the most effective counters for mammal players with the night vision
You got
ability.
to do better,
Instead
my
of
boy. And they don't even go for like to start swallowing it, and they just go for the bite and then just watch you die.
risking health by grappling with other players,
They be like, hang. Hang.
rattlesnakes deliver a lethal amount of venom in one quick strike, and then use their prey tracking ability to find them after they've succumbed to toxic status effects. One major advantage for rattlesnake players is mammal players with the night vision ability. Instead of risking health by grappling with other players, rattlesnakes deliver a lethal amount of venom in one quick strike, and then use their prey tracking ability to find them
That's
after they've
crazy.
succumbed to
No, that's
toxic status
actually
effects.
crazy.
One major advantage for rattlesnake players is the highly effective rattle intimidation technique, which allows them to scare off more powerful challengers without wasting venom or risking serious damage. While
I ain't gonna lie, that shit is a very good intimidating tool.
rattlesnakes sit at the top of A tier due to their relatively well-rounded stats among
Deserved.
members of the Viper class.
Deserved.
All Viper builds are still classified as glass cannons and
Uh-oh.
tend to lose out against opponents with quicker acting venom, superior speed, or high enough HP to tank their attacks.
S tier, here we
Snake
go.
builds placing in S tier overcome the weaknesses of other venom users by maxing out mobility stats and
Cobra kills white tiger in indoor zoo? What the fuck? See, like, these are the videos I'm about to be Googling. Like, what the fuck?
employing a variety of highly effective venom delivery
Why they dislike it? This is nature, man.
techniques. The most competitively viable snakes spec into heavily neurotoxic venom, granting them the ability to inflict toxic damage and status effects far more quickly than lower tier venom users. While these buffs come at the cost of
I ain't gonna lie, ain't these the ones that be like, when the dude be playing the and then they just be like, I ain't gonna lie, ain't they weakness music, bro? Ain't that kind of bad? All I gotta do is play some fucking Uzi and they'll be in a trance, man. Come on now.
base defense, S tier snakes are only really weak to
Snake will pull up on you like this. Now I do what I want. Now I do what I want. Now I do what I want. Now I do what I want.
Ethan
They just
donated
bang,
$5.
bang that nigga.
Finally switched from YouTube to Twitch.
It's about time, man. Welcome.
the rare few players with venom resistance or effective bite evasion skills.
Whoa! Cobra!
Coming up first in S tier is the Cobra build. With impressive base speed, these snakes can actively chase down other players rather than having to solely rely on an ambush strategy. Variants of the Cobra build can spec into moderate aquatic and climbing proficiency, allowing for particularly well-rounded gameplay. Their fast-acting venom is mostly neurotoxic, but can have mixed toxic effects that melt through flesh and maximize the amount of pain inflicted. Even elephant players, the tankiest terrestrial build in the entire game, can be taken down by the ridiculous amount of sheer toxic damage inflicted by a well-placed bite. While all Cobra builds have forward-placed fangs to maximize venom delivery, Spitting Cobra players can use the only ranged attack in the entire snake class by spraying venom up to 2 meters through holes at the front of their fangs. This move has high accuracy and can permanently blind other players when used effectively. Cobra builds advertise their power by using a unique hood modification, intimidating the vast majority of players away from trying to challenge them in the first place. With enough offensive capabilities to take on an entire team of attackers at once, it's no question that Cobras are one of the most competitively viable builds in the Snake faction.
Wow.
Next in S tier are Sea Snakes.
No,
full
that actually needs a nerf. That's kind of broken. An elephant, bruh?
Aquatic adaptations and special underwater sensory skills. These builds can access hard-to-reach areas to demolish even the most competitive fish players. Their fangs are relatively small compared to the closely related Cobra builds, but this works in conjunction with a special attack style. Their venom is some of the deadliest in the game, but causes almost no pain, meaning that other players may not even know they've been hit before fatal toxic damage sets in. While they are effective at using trickster tactics to take down enemies independently, Sea Snake players can also hunt in teams to capitalize on their own offensive potential
And they got gang with 'em.
compensate for their low individual HP. This build does have a bit of a high skill floor though, and inexperienced players may struggle at playing around the Sea Snake's defensive weaknesses. The Sea Snake build has a unique playstyle that can be hard to master, but with the ability to 1v1 eels and win, This build sits at the
Eels?
top for those who enjoy a challenge.
The Black
Final build
Mamba!
on this tier list is the Black Mamba. With incredibly overpowered base stats for their class, including ridiculous damage and speed, the Black Mamba is by far the most competitive snake, both in terrestrial and arboreal combat situations.
Damn, this
Their
nigga's
speed
zooming!
isn't just with respect to movement. The lethal venom of the Black Mamba takes effect extremely quickly, and can decimate enemies of any size due to the high dose delivered in each bite. Black Mamba venom imposes a variety of neurological status effects, including respiratory failure and vision loss, making them one of the most feared opponents in direct combat.
Oh my god, bruh.
Mamba builds have an
It's like you want to feel bad for them, but they just be running and walking all over the snakes. Like, dude,
extremely aggressive
that's like walking in an alley in the hood and just stepping on niggas' shoes, bruh, and like not caring. Like, what did you think was gonna happen, bruh?
and fast-paced playstyle that leaves little room for counterplay, especially considering that their HP and defense stats are among the highest of any Venom users due to their large size. While they don't have any unique moves to speak of, Black Mambas dominate by using strategies common among snake players.
Yeah,
and
Rip
do
Kobe.
so
That's like the only basketball thing I be knowing.
to an exceptionally effective degree.
Did he call himself Black Mamba, or was he just labeled Black Mamba, and why? How does that relate?
Topping the charts with the highest DPS potential of any snake, and respectable defensive skills to boot, the Black Mamba is the
And he's just looking at him like, damn, bet you wish you would have stayed home, huh? Fuck, nigga. Yo, this is crazy.
DPS potential of any snake,
Because no one could 1v1 him.
and respectable defensive skills to boot. The Black Mamba is the undisputed ruler
This is
of
so disrespectful. Like, for a snake, this is an album cover, bruh. Yo, you heard that nigga Tony took down a whole fucking tiger, bruh? A whole fucking tiger, bruh?
snake builds.
A whole big-ass
Snakes
cat?
are by no means meta-defining, but it's still worth knowing how they stack up against each other and what their main strengths and weaknesses are. There's a lot more to snakes than just their general combat
Yo, homie just flipped him over and started biting at him.
abilities, though. How do snakes deal with cold damage? How can snakes climb trees so easily without claws or cling pads? If you're really interested in knowing all the ins and outs of the snake build, I highly recommend checking out this video sponsor, Curiosity Stream. They have this excellent doc
Bro, I thought he was about to have a link. I thought he was about to have a link to another video. I was about to say, yo, we gonna watch that tomorrow. But no, man, what the fuck?
documentary called The Secret
These damn
Lives of
seamless
Snakes,
ads, bro.
which answers a lot of questions I didn't even know I had about snakes. It goes into way more depth than I have time for here on YouTube. And hey, speaking of videos that don't fit neatly into my YouTube channel, did you know that I have a Nebula series called Let's Play Outside?
Yo, I hate this guy. I actually hate him. I actually can't watch them. I can't watch him no more, bro. I can't. He seamlessly went into a sponsor and then seamlessly went to a self-plug. Like, what the fuck is happening? What the fuck is going on, dude? I can't take it, man. I can't take it. Caucasian overload. Caucasian. It's from a movie. It's a joke. Shout out to the white people. Jesus.